Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Halo guys. Hari ini saya akan mempresentasikan tentang The Zoo Story by Albee. Nama saya AWALUL Faidah. Let's go to the part pertama ya. The Zoo Story is one act drama by American playwright Albee. His first play was written in 1958 and finished in just 3 weeks. The Zoo Story explored themes of isolation, loneliness, communication, a school, social inequality, and dehumanization in a materialistic world. The Zoo Story that I analysis is about the social condition, sociality, which are reflected in a written literary work by applying generic structuralism, which explores social condition and social element contained into the text. Results show that the social class created by a social separatist people with sensory level of sociality. Although there is no constraint line to show the separation, in its field experience realistic like birds, separation animals, different types in the zoo. Next slide. The Zoo Story, Albee plot summary. This one act play concentrated to characters Peter and Jerry meet on a park bench in New York City Central Park. Peter is a wealthy publishing executive with a wife, 2 doctors, 2 cats, and 2 parakeets. Jerry is an isolated and disheartened man, desperate to have a meaningful conversation with another human being. He intrudes on Peter's peaceful state by interrogating him and forcing him to listen to stories about his life and the reason behind his visit to the zoo. The action is linear, unfolding in front of the audience in real time. The elements is irony, humor, and unrelenting dramatic suspense are brought to the climax when Jerry brings his victim down to his own savage level. So, this is the plot guys, plot summary tentang The Zoo Story Albee. Next slide. Homosexuality. The Zoo Story, written by Albee, is an one-act play. They have 2 characters, one is Peter and one Jerry. Jerry is called protagonist on his play. He is unmarried, jobless person, and thirsty. He himself said that he is homosexual person in his word. Jerry, no, I wonder if it said that I never see the little ladies more than once. I never been able to have sex with, or how it is put, make love to anyone more than once, then it's wait for a week and a half. When I was 15 and I hang my head, I shaped the puberty I was a homosexual. I mean I was queer with bell ringer banner snapping in the wind, and for these 11 days, linens at least twice a week with the park superintendent son, a geek boy. His birthday was the same as mine, except he was a year older. I think I was very much in love, maybe just with sex. So, ini adalah teori di mana ada homoseksuality dalam cerita The Zoo Story by Albee ini, di mana keduanya adalah seorang homoseksuality. Next slide. Albee character himself is gay, and although he generally talks about his sexuality in public, he never hits the character preference. Those who are familiar with his work are generally aware of his sexuality. Homosexuality is only discussed once in the text, when Jerry mentions his childhood relationship with another boy, since he is quick to add that he essentially only had sex with women. Readers may be tempted to overlook Jerry's flirtation in a minor detail, but according to critical Robert Zeller, the moment would have shocked audience to so much in 1960 that it might have colored their interpretation in the entire play. Next slide. The desire for communication. Self-Hard Albee is a prominent American playwright who died during the second half of the 20th century, actually now in this 1828. Theater production behind him, the recipient of 3 Pulitzer Prizes, 2 Tony Awards, and numerous other prizes. Albee is the greatest living master playwright on the American stage. The Zoo Story, Albert's first play in a one-act play, premiered in Berlin, Germany in 1959. The play staged two characters, Jerry and Peter. Next slide. Albee portrays Peter as a man in his early portrays, neither fat nor gaudy, neither handsome nor homely. Through his physical depiction of Peter, Albee seems to suggest that he is an ordinary man whose physical appearance has nothing exceptional about him. The use of genation neither nor could mean that Albee denies Peter any disgusting personality. The negative description of Peter from the very beginning alludes to his lack. Next slide. The Zoo Story is a satire. It is a play that satirizes the common practice in society. By writing the play, Albee critical our society, where the gap between the rich and poor, neglected people is getting worse and worse. It's there to realize that this phenomenon was dangerous and was not good for the continuing society in the future, so that people begin to concentrate on their business only without paying attention to the need of others. People try to ignore other people although they live in the same communication. People become aliens to others, even themselves, because what they afford was physical need only. That's called. Next, the social aspect in the Zoo Story will unveil the social situation in that time. The reading will be focused on the behavior and the dialogue. What they do and say reflect their society because they are members of Albert. They are not represent the whole social, but all is their product. The analysis will be concentrated on the social aspect shown by Peter and Jerry. In order to make this writing focus on the main problem issue of social status, the zoo story are convert. Then the writer also depicts class distinction and interest. Those aspects, the writer will be also tries to explain the cultural background behind the play using the Marxist perspective. The study also tries to describe the cultural background of the play beside the biographical data of the playwright. Albeit the conversation in this play indicate their local color that in linguistic feature won the analysis as an independent aspect, since it belongs to century class of sociality and will be included in the analysis of cultural aspect. So, this is about the social aspect dalam cerita The Zoo Story. Next slide. Conclusion. By writing The Zoo Story, Albert expressed his disapproval of American middle-class culture. This play is fundamentally a piece of class criticism, puts emphasis on the problem of the absence of genuine contract between individual and the ultimate breakdown of communication. Jerry's journey in the zoo and the Central Park is motivated by an urgent desire to connect with anything. By the end, this desire is fulfilled as his success in making contact with a human being. Peter struck at last one, Albee appears to center his play on the necessity to break out. In this play, Albee examines also sexual desire and social persistence, repress its liberal first resistance of possible repression in the system, since as a parallel to the continuous struggle individual against the oppression of the community. Jerry's behavior and way to thinking could be concentrated as rebellion against any form of submission to social authorities or power structure. In brief, bleeding intensities, free circulation and evasion of repression could imply that the individual adopt effective strategies, especially liberating whose sexual energy and drives in order to resist. This is the reference that I got. Saya mendapatkan banyak presentasi ini lewat berbagai artikel seperti PDF yang sangat menguras banyak tenaga dan pikiran menurut saya, karena cerita ini sangat banyak menceritakan tentang hal-hal yang sangat abstrak yang menurut saya di luar dari ekspektasi saya, di mana banyak teori-teori yang bisa saya dapatkan seperti homoseksual dan banyak aspek lain yang di luar pemikiran saya. Dan saya sangat menyukai cerita ini karena cerita ini sangat-sangat absurd tapi juga sangat baik. Oke, terima kasih guys. Assalamualaikum.